Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make.
Today's Friday and it's 3:20 and I'm in the middle of juggling a million things, but I wanted to come and talk to you today. So there's a few things. Let's just jump right into business since I've like kind of blown off the beginning of this. So I've been saying to you for the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to say it again for this week. Please, 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 I am urging you to put together whatever copays you possibly can that you paid for between January 1st of 2022 and January 13th of 2023. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. Please, please, please put together those copays, whatever it is that you can find, any type of proof of payment that you paid a copay, because we are moving, hopefully, in finalizing this copay case like really, 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 really soon. So please, please look for those. Any form of any type of proof of payment for copays on senior care, traditional Medicare with senior care, from January 1st of 2022 to January 12th of 2023, okay? Please look for those copay proofs and please put them in a folder or an envelope someplace safe. If this all works out, there will be a whole procedure. We're going to eventually be able to come out to you and talk to you about this. We're hoping that things are finalized really, really, really soon. Okay, so the next thing. You saw our statement yesterday. The United Federation of Teachers, retired teacher chapter, had a meeting with, had a meeting the other day. And Michael Mulgrew came to talk to the retirees and also brought in their in-house counsel, Beth Norton. Listening to the clips of that meeting that were sent to me were extremely disturbing, that the way Michael Mulgrew spoke to retirees, lied to retirees, and was condescending to the RTC chapter leader, Bennett Fisher. So after hearing what he had to say, of course, spreading misinformation and lying once again about Intro 1096, many of you wrote to us, thousands of you actually, to me and Bob and Michelle, and we're very frustrated about what you heard, and rightfully so, because you've been listening to someone who's supposed to be like a union leader lie about retiree health care. And we made that statement because we're tired of hearing him lie about our legislation. Remember something. We would not be in this situation and we would not be fighting to protect our health care if he had not thought it was okay to leverage our health care benefits to finance teacher raises. Teacher raises should be implemented. Teachers should get raises. Everyone should get a raise, right? Cost of living. But what he's not understanding is we literally needed protection from him. We should never have had to say that. His duty, his obligation was to protect a retiree, not sell us off or use us as leverage. He literally sold your health care off to pay for active worker raises. And that's condemnation in our book, okay? We have to say to him, this is enough. You do not represent retirees. You had a responsibility to protect us. You failed at that and you literally sold us off and then lied about it. But hey, you're in good company because Henry Garrido did the same thing in 2018. And then you lied continuously in 19 and 20 and 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So we're not letting them go on this. This is why we need legislation so that no one does what Michael Mulgrew or Henry Garrido ever did. So I want to take one opportunity again and read our statement one more time, because to us, it's that important that people understand You as a retiree, you earned your health care. You are no longer in a union, and retirees should have protected that, not leveraged away your health care to use as a bargaining chip. And that's exactly what Michael Mulgrew did. So to listen to him say that is absolutely abhorrent. What he did, no labor leader should do. And it's a problem in the labor movement in the city, because if this continues to happen, what will happen is they will be successful in not just of having destroyed the stabilization fund, and not just having destroyed the healthcare program as we know it. They will have destroyed labor in the city of New York, because they literally got in bed with management. They partnered, as Henry likes to say, we partnered with management. You didn't partner with management. You literally got in bed with them. And you had absolutely no problem with selling off retiree health care. We have asked Michael Mulgrew, Beth Norton, Henry Garrido in the last 2 months, have reached out to them, extending an olive branch of sorts. And at every opportunity, they all ignored us. So now I'm going to tell you, we've tried. They don't want to work with you. Why? Because they still want the ability to sell off what you have to help them enrich what they're trying to do. They don't want to give a give back. They want to give you up. And this is why we keep saying, you want to pay a dues to your retired teacher chapter or your DC 37 chapter or whatever retiree chapter you want to belong to. Fine. We're not telling you don't. What we are telling you is you should not be funding their political action, because they're literally working against you. And if that retired chapter of whatever it is not supporting you, then you don't belong there. The only people that have been actively fighting for you is the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees and our board and our administrators and our advisors. Those are the only people fighting for you. So this is why we wanted to write this statement, so that you have it and you're free to use that wherever you want, anywhere you want, okay? Paula, what can you do now? Well, it's the holidays. Right now, there's nothing to do. The city council held their last stated meeting last night. There are no more meetings. There's nothing else happening for the rest of the year. In the new year, Adrienne Adams, hasta la vista, she is gone December 31st. The new council comes in, and then there's a new speaker election, which should happen on January 7th. And if Julie Menon truly does have the support that she says she does, she will be the new speaker. Whether or not she supports this organization and you, time will tell. Okay? We've already met with her. We will meet with her again. We've been meeting with other council members and explaining to them what's going on. And we're giving them the evidence that they need to recognize they're being lied to. It's printable, yes. And I will also hopefully this weekend, I'll have some downtime to put it in an email because I haven't sent an email out in like 10 days. So I will send out an email, and I will also put this out for you. Alex says, is this the same for sanitation? I'm active, but I'm also worried about my insurance copay going up and insurance getting worse. So Alex, as an active sanitation, I want you to know that your union is one of the unions that agreed to give up your data, your prescription drug data that your union provides you, to the Municipal Labor Committee and the health insurance companies as part of the NYC EPPO plan, your new plan that will be implemented as of January 1. Now, so you understand who those 5 unions are that actually agreed to give your private health information, contact information, name, birthday, social security number, everything, drugs that you take, etc., that the union provides you through the union drug plan. I will tell you the 5 unions that we were told has agreed to give that up. And in the Municipal Labor Committee a month ago, we heard 2 months ago, actually, we heard several of the unions saying, we are not agreeing to this. We administer our drug plans for our employees and retirees, and we are not giving up our drug data. The 5 unions that did, according to Alan Klinger, was the United Federation of Teachers, Sanitation, DC 37, CWA 1180, and Local 237 Teamsters, Greg Floyd. So Greg Floyd, Gloria Middleton, Henry Garrido, I don't remember, I think it's Mr. Shook, who's sanitation, and Michael Mulgrew. So if you are active, those 5 unions, we were told, had agreed to give current information that your union drug plan provides. That information, health information, drug information, unredacted. And if anyone tells you it's redacted, I urge you to get that in writing. We were told it is unredacted. Alan Klinger, the lawyer for the Municipal Labor Committee, said it is unredacted data. Your healthcare plan, the new NYC EPPO plan, you've heard this organization tell you, Alex, what the concerns were that we had, as well as listed in many videos the concerns we have and where the risk lies. And we put that out in many videos. I don't want to get into this because I'll be here all day just discussing that. So I want to read one more time our letter from yesterday for those that didn't hear it the first time. You can go up and listen to just that yesterday, because when I made that statement yesterday, I just gave you a little bit of commentary, read that letter. I think that video was 14 minutes long. But today, once I'm done reading that, I want to just go into, I'll start to look at some of these questions that are piling up in here and then, go through that. So let me pull up that letter and read it to you. Over the past 4 years, we have witnessed something unprecedented. Unions selling off healthcare benefits of their former members, whom they no longer represent, in order to enrich themselves. Specifically, the Municipal Labor Committee has worked to secure hundreds of millions of dollars a year for its members by kicking retirees off their traditional Medicare and Medicare supplemental insurance and charging them copays. These elderly and disabled retirees have no ability to protect themselves through collective bargaining. Our healthcare bill, known as Intro 1096, would have provided these retirees by ensuring their access to traditional Medicare and Medicare supplemental insurance without burdensome out-of-pocket costs. These are the benefits all retirees had from the 60s until very recently. Michael Mulgrew and the United Federation of Teachers are opposed to this bill for one simple reason. It would prevent them from selling off current retirees' health care in order to fund benefits for active employees. To be clear, this bill would allow the UFT and other unions to negotiate away their own future retiree health care benefits. It would simply prohibit them from negotiating away the benefits of those who have already retired and are no longer having a seat at the bargaining table. The bill would also allow unions to negotiate for more robust health care, and that is because it sets a floor, not a ceiling. Because Mulgrew cannot come out and admit the real reason for opposing this bill, he is forced to manufacture a bogus one. He claims that this bill would somehow violate collective bargaining and set a bad precedent that might embolden the city council to unilaterally diminish workers' employment benefits. That is false. First, the bill does not interfere with collective bargaining at all. It explicitly states that nothing in this bill shall be construed to impair the ability of any employee organization to negotiate the terms and conditions of employment for their employee members. Thus, if unions wanted to negotiate away their members' future healthcare rights in exchange for more immediate benefits, such as higher wages, they would be free to do so. The bill merely prevents them from bargaining away the rights of those who have already retired and never consented to a diminishment of their health care. That is perfectly consistent with collective bargaining law. Indeed, it is well settled that unions do not represent for retirees. And you can go and look up cases like Colby versus Tibbetts from 2013. And that is why collective bargaining law, known as the Taylor Law, doesn't even apply to those who have already retired. You can also see cases Town of Islip versus New York Public Employees Relations Board from 2014, explaining that the Taylor Law only applies to active members, not retirees, or Arrhenius McDonald Police Benevolent Association versus City of Geneva, stating that collective bargaining law does not extend to retirees. There is no question that there is no question that the City Council can legislate healthcare rights for retirees. In 1968, just a few months after the Taylor Law was passed, the City Council enacted the New York City Administrative Code 12-126, which grants sweeping healthcare benefits to retired city workers. The City Council amended 12-126 several times over the ensuing decades to mandate specific health insurance coverage, including the HIPAA HMO, and require the city to cover the ever-increasing costs of Medicare Part B. In all the previous instances, the City Council, oops, where did that go? My eyes are watering from reading this. In all the previous instances of the City Council legislating on retiree health care, the United Federation of Teachers and other unions testified in support of such legislation. If Mulgrew truly believes that collective bargaining law prohibits the City Council from legislating on retiree health care, why did prior UFT leaders spend decades supporting such legislation? And why is Mulgrew currently supporting a bill that would guarantee certain employment benefits to paraprofessionals who, unlike retirees, are actually covered by the Taylor Law? Mulgrew is not acting based on legal principle. He just wants the ability to use current retirees' healthcare as a bargaining tool. Finally, it is absurd for Mulgrew to suggest that Intro 1096 paves the way for the City Council to unilaterally reduce workers' healthcare benefits. Intro 1096 provides no such authority or precedent. It protects people by setting a baseline for healthcare benefits, which unions can negotiate away for their members if they wish. It does not allow the City Council to unilaterally reduce collectively bargained benefits. And if the City Council were to do so, that would violate the Taylor Law. The City Council should have passed 1096 and should pass its successor bill number, whatever that may be. Hopefully we get one in January, and protect retirees' health care. If the unions wish to challenge the law, let them. The threat of meritless litigation is no reason to refrain from enacting desperately needed legislation. And that was our statement yesterday. So, we were really frustrated by not only hearing those clips, but by also reading your emails to see what you were going through, questioning whether or not what Mulgrew was saying was accurate, which of course it's not. And someone actually said to us, there's one way to tell if Michael Mulgrew is lying, that is his lips are moving. And, we hate to have to keep doing this. We really haven't come out or, made some kind of a statement against the UFT or DC 37, but by simply him dragging up his in-house lawyer, who's a paid mouthpiece for the union, to come up and say that the bill is illegal without ever citing any case law as to why, when we can cite you 3 separate cases as to why what they're saying is wrong. So our answer is bring it on, because in 2026, we are. If they don't back off, and they don't stop this, we're going to start exposing even more what they did. We got a whole document data dump recently, communications, emails back and forth. And we've been waiting for the perfect time to use them. So let's see, Laura, George, if you're non-Medicare retiree or getting active getting on the NYC EPPO this January, you have a choice between using Amazon Express Scripts for your mailed prescriptions, Amazon and Express Scripts for your mailed prescriptions, but you need to arrange them by calling Prime Therapeutic for instructions. So you should be getting your packets in the mail about what your benefits are, registering for your account, for your new account if you did choose to stay with the city plan. So all of that should be coming to you. Register in that app. And we're also working on trying to get more of that information to you as well. So hopefully that does come in soon. Does any of this affect active members from Local 100? So Artie, if you are TWU Local 100, you do not get your health care from the city of New York. You actually get your health insurance from the state. But what your union did is forced all of your retirees into Medicare Advantage, the very thing that we've been fighting. So if you are active, you should be urging your union and creating a coalition of active workers to help your retirees. TWU 100R is your retiree group that formed to fight back being taken off traditional Medicare and forced into Medicare Advantage. Since you're active, you may not be aware, but those retirees that are fighting this right now are grassroots fundraising their litigation. They used to have a choice of 2 Medicare Advantage plans or a supplement to traditional Medicare. Your union stole their access to that plan, forced them into Medicare Advantage, which is a privatized alternative to Medicare, and also took away their ability to see any doctor in America. Now, traditional Medicare is, so you may not be familiar because you're younger and still working. Traditional Medicare was supported. It was supported by JFK. It was implemented by President Lyndon Johnson. It was supported by unions and MLK. It was one of the greatest civil rights achievements ever in that it did get away with segregation in healthcare. It did away with the times back in the 60s when they had colored waiting rooms and white waiting rooms. This said to any doctor or hospital, if you want federal reimbursement for treating Medicare or Medicaid recipients, then you will stop segregation in healthcare. You will treat everybody equally. But in doing so, they created the Medicare and Medicaid Act in 1965. When it passed, the mayor in the city of New York and then the governor wanted to give that benefit to all employees and retirees. For employees, he could do that by personnel order. For retirees, they had to pass a law. And for the city workers, that's where our bill came in. You are, however, now a quasi-state employee, even though you are New York City Transit, okay? Now, your retirees could definitely use this support because you should have always had access to that. Traditional Medicare has no network of doctors. You could use 99% of doctors and hospitals in America. Your Medicare Advantage has a network. You have to use an Aetna physician. And actually, your Aetna Medicare Advantage plan operates more like an HMO, by the way. There's rare prior authorization in traditional Medicare. In Medicare Advantage, there's 1 million prior authorizations. If you go through and look at your contract, which is on your MTA Aetna website, and if you know the difference between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage, you have a very stringent type of, they call it a PPO plan, but it operates like an HMO. And your contract literally states that if you don't use a doctor within the Aetna network of the transit plan, that you will pay more. Not you might, you will, it says. So your retirees, you could find them on Facebook. It's TWU100R, and they could really use your support because what they're fighting is not only to get them to have a choice between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage, but also to help potentially you guys, even though they don't represent you, but to make awareness of active workers that what they're fighting for, you should actually be behind because this is your future. So do you want to be in a plan where you have a choice of doctors and hospitals no matter where you go, and whatever your doctor says, the care that you need or the test you need, you get? Or do you want to put a big insurance company in charge of all of your health decisions? Even if your doctor says you need something, the insurance company could say, we don't think you do. And that could potentially lead to harm or lead you to die. So that group will definitely have plenty to share with you. Please look them up. I encourage you strongly to do that. Let's see. Are they forcing us on Medicare Advantage? No. Nella, they are not forcing us right now. We are so far, we're protected, but we still have a court battle to fight. You know, we're still in court on 2 cases, the Kopay case and the Benkowski case. And that, you know, some misguided moron can potentially try to do that again. Remember, it was the unions that did this to us. It wasn't like, you know, people say that the Republicans want to do Medicare Advantage or the president wants to do Medicare Advantage. This was our own unions that did this, by the way. Remember that. But yes, we're still fighting that. Marianne, your Nycopser statement in response to Mulgrew is powerful. I'll be sharing it everywhere. Thank you, Laura. It was maddening to hear that the New York City Council rushed other bills through the express lane in their last meeting of the year, ignoring 1096. We will have to work even harder next year. Marsha, I listened to that entire meeting last night. I want to say, I think it was like 4 hours long. It proves to me that when they want to do something, they did. They held something like 25 hearings yesterday, I think I heard. And then they did this marathon event last night as their last, stated on December 18th. And yes, they could do what they want to do when they want to do it. It was apparent from a very long time ago that the speaker was not going to allow our bill to go anywhere. And if you go to about 3 hours and I think 15 or 17 or 20 minutes, somewhere in there, you'll hear Councilman Bob Holden condemn the speaker for killing one of his veteran bills. Now, you will hear his words and just think about what he says in our situation, because that's exactly what she did to us as well. We're not alone, okay? Danny Luca, where do we donate? Super easy, Danny. Go to our website, www.nycretirees.org. I'm encouraging you to create an account, because if you do, you create a login. It'll say like create an account, log in here. You can sign up to donate. You can donate recurring donations, make a monthly donation. You can sign up for our emails. It's the best way, because then if you ever need to change your donation funds, the way, whatever card you use or method you're paying or amount you're donating, then you can log right into your account and do it right there all on your own. And if you ever need help, you could always reach out to us. We'll help you, we'll help you with it. But go directly to our website. It's the easiest way. Robert, thank you, Marion. You're welcome. No package, a letter, and a card. Well, on the card, it did say to go to the NYC EPPO page and to create an account. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm not going with Prime. So George, you don't have to go with Prime. You still have Express Scripts for as long as they're allowing you to work with Express Scripts. So you have that option. UFT Medicare, I have not received any package as of 12/19/2025. So Long Beach, you're saying you do not have a card. So I would say to you, it's 347. While I'm still on this video, you might want to dial Emblem Health's number and ask them where your new drug card is, because that might be helpful to you. If you're not getting a new card, they will let you know that your plan's probably staying, that your number's probably staying the same, but I don't think that's correct. You should be getting a card in the mail, because they did change your drug plan. They did change your drug plan. So what can I tell you? That's going to be an Emblem question. And if you look at their website, they will also tell you that the cards are still being mailed out. So I don't know. Remember Bill de Blasio said there was a paper shortage. We can't tell those retirees anything. Well, maybe there's a stamp shortage or envelope shortage or something, some other half-assed excuse that they'll give. The city is absolutely horrible. And we've been in this fight with OLR for too long, that they just don't respect retirees enough. MLC needs a uniformed person on the board. How is it going, and what will happen to the money from the bankrupt stabilization fund that formerly paid for healthcare for widows and orphans? So cool if the MLC leaders and OLR are willing to sacrifice these people who have already suffered so much. So Ellen, I was also shared some audio from that last MLC meeting. Note that they did hold another vote this week for chair again. And it was the same two people, Greg Floyd and Henry Garrido. You need a 2/3 motion to pass a vote to elect another chair of the executive board, any of the officers. And again, it was kind of like a little bit higher, like a 51-49 or 52-48 kind of a scenario. I mean, I kept saying there's no way in hell you're going to get this. This is the people literally saying these two candidates are not sufficient. They're inferior. Find me another person to vote for. You literally had the board split 50-50. And I think they knew what they were doing. What ended up happening was Michael Mulgrew got behind Greg Floyd of Teamsters 237. And then Henry had his 50-something, unions get behind him. And that split the vote. And the other members within the MLC don't have enough weighted vote in order to change, to get that 2/3. So that's literally a sign that neither one of those parties are sufficient. So we've been promoting Jim Brosey, UFOA, Uniform Fire Officers Association, to be the chair. We were encouraging him and other people to send those emails. Remember, you just were sending emails out to the board saying Jim should be, because there is no uniformed officer in violation of the bylaws for months since Harry Nespoli stepped down. And why no one's pushing this, I have no idea. We're not even on that board. We're not even in that committee because they won't let us, of course. But yet we've been pushing for more transparency, and we've been pushing for a uniformed officer to be on the board, in acknowledging that they have a mandate in their own bylaws, which they are ignoring as well. So I don't know what to tell you there, Ellen. It's not from a lack of us trying to get it out, but maybe I'll send them another email and we'll see what goes. Let's see. Raises for city council members and concern for guinea pig. I know that was one of the craziest things. Guinea pigs not allowed to be sold in New York City pet shops. Lincoln Wrestler got his legislation for dog runs. Yes, you're not important. That's what they're basically telling you for everything that they did, this whole time. None of us should be contributing to either Peoples or COPE. You're absolutely right, Michael. I'm with you 100% on that. That's political action money being used against you. Now, I'm also going to tell you, we're moving into 26, and this is the year. We really want to close this, which means you're going to have to step up a little bit more this year and be a little bit more aggressive, right? What we're going to start doing is being a little bit more aggressive as we're going into the legislative session, both city and state, which means when we put a call out and we're saying we're going to Albany, I need people to sign up and I need people to commit to being there being there. When we put out events, like we're going to start putting up sign-in sheets for the council, for city council rallies, also for putting us in protests and any type of a political action event. We need people to show up. We're going to try to see if we can get through January, February, March, move something into April, starting in April where it's a little bit warmer and the weather's a little bit better. But please, 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 this is the year. I want to close this chapter and make sure that you have that protection that you need, that nobody ever does this to you again. Bob Holden's words were very powerful when Adrian Adams in retribution killed his veteran bills, and he called her out. Yes, he did, Ellen. I was literally sitting there screaming at my computer last night. It was just crazy. Thank you for your info and constant updates. You're welcome, Evelyn. Let's see. Brain shortage. Yes, they definitely do have a brain shortage. Yes, you can. Eucalyptus is saying you can absolutely print a health card from the Emblem Health website. You just got to log into the portal. This is why we keep saying you need to create a login for yourself to do this. Who is over the unions? Well, the MLC isn't even over the unions. They are like an association. They're an umbrella group of unions. They have no collective bargaining certificate. They really have no power. What Mulgrew and Nespoli and Garrido have done was usurp the power of the unions that committee never had. That's what they did. They should never have done what they did. They don't have that power. It's not in any writing. It's not in any law. It's not in their bylaws. They don't have that power. They don't have a collective bargaining certificate. That's how the city gets away with it, because the city knows that it can use the DC 37 and UFT size to leverage all the other workers and the other unions and the retirees. That's really what they did. Did not know you were on early today. Your WBAI interview was good. Washington, not yet, including long-term care premiums and conversations. Thanks, John. So we had that interview with David Schwartzer the other day, and I posted that up on my Substack and Apple Podcasts. And then this week we're talking to Phil Cohen. He is a unionist, organizer, as well as an author, and he'll be on WBAI show on Monday. So I'll make sure I post that after I write up what I'm doing. But that'll be for then. Thank you for that. He really did a great interview with me, and it was nice to be able to educate all of you for that. Eucalyptus says, logging into the member portal, going to the ID cards section, and then selecting the option to download and print a PDF copy. Thanks for that information. I'm sure that will help a lot of people. Yes, Tommy Nespoli is gone. He's retired, but they still have not appointed a chair to take his place and not filled his position as one of the uniform members on the board, which still has to happen. Wrestler is the worst. I'm sure there are a lot more, but he's in the worst pile. I'll give you that. Okay, they're ignoring retirees because we have no rights in collective bargaining, and therefore they're ignoring us. Well, there's a lot more to that, but don't worry. I think 26 will be your year, Long Beach. What this also apply to ATU and ATU 1056. So for the ATUs, we did help them negotiate their last contracts. You have to reach out to them because I do not remember the local numbers, but several of the unions that we spoke to that were like the 5 sister unions in the ATUs did listen to us, worked with their bargaining agents, and were able to protect their retirees from being forced into Medicare Advantage. Please check with your individual local because they were one of the first unions, other than the Connecticut police and fire unions, that listened to us. And the ATUs, many of them, I'm not sure if all, but did listen to us and made sure that their retirees were protected. Okay. So it's really important that you do check with them because I do not know off the top of my head to remember the numbers of the ones that actually codified protection in their bylaws to protect them. I think there was 2 or 3 of them. So please go back and check that. Who could be against veterans? Well, clearly Adrienne Adams was yesterday. And so I was telling Bob Holden yesterday, not only did she deny the veteran bill, she denied the retiree bill. If you were a retiree and a veteran, she screwed you twice. She has a horrible legacy, and like I could not stomach watching everybody like literally kiss her rear end yesterday and flower her with praise when she was one of the worst speakers ever. Are you sending Eric Adams and Adrienne Adams membership forms to our organization in 2026? That's a good idea. Maybe I can send them an application form, or I'll text. I don't have Eric Adams' phone number, but I'll text Adrienne. She's ignored me before. She'll just ignore me again. I'm going to look for Holden's response. What's going on in city council is disgraceful. Yes, it should be just after the 3-hour mark is when Bob made his speech last night from the floor of the city council. No, Sherry, I'm on now because it's Hanukkah and it's the holidays and it's Friday, and I wanted to try to wrap this up and finish. I have a lot more work to do before close of business, and it's already 4 o'clock. He has many times over the past year. He sponsored the bill. Where have you been? Please. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about there. That might be for someone else, not me. Councilman Aviles said at the council that meeting she is worth more than $1.8 million and needs a 16% raise but can't protect. I did not hear that. Is that real? Oh, I wish I was worth $1.8 million. Send me the time point and where that was, because I watched that whole hearing and I don't even think I heard her speak unless I had gotten up to go get coffee for that. Why not go all in the Erwin? I don't know what that means. Why not go all in the copay case? The copay case was filed in 2022 and it was only was filed in 2023, and it was only for 2022. They hadn't initiated the copays in 2025 yet. So you can't sue for something that didn't happen. We filed that lawsuit in 2023. The copay, we weren't in 25 yet, if that's what you're asking, because that doesn't make any sense. The New York State Association of Independent Schools is governed by a board of trustees, and its current president for 25-26 is Phil Kasem. New York Council Speaker Adrienne Adams is a Medicare retiree now and father was a veteran, rest in peace, but won't protect either. Nope. She took umbrage to that, and actually at the 4-hour mark, she held up her father's photo and said that's who she was protecting, but she hasn't protected her father because he would have been a Medicare recipient and a veteran on veteran benefits. And the bills, both that Bob and we were doing, would have protected her father if her father was a city retiree, which I think he was, corrections. But she didn't do anything to protect her father. She may want to say she did, but if her father was alive, he'd probably be yelling at her and marching in the street with us. Yes, I've been watching you guys post on Adrienne Adams. Make sure you fill up as much as you possibly can before the 31st, because that's probably when her council page will probably archive. But feel free to post as often as you possibly can about what a horrible person she's been to you, and refuse to take your phone calls and doesn't respond to your emails, and refuse to allow a democratic hearing on legislation to protect your federal public health benefit of Medicare and your earned and vested healthcare benefits. Adrienne Adams is one of the worst speakers ever. So make sure you tell her that before they close her page down. I have Eric Adams' number. How can I get it to you privately? Well, Lori, if you have that, email it to me at retirees@nycretirees.org, retirees with an S at nycretirees.org, and I'll be glad to call him, but I think he's still in Mexico today. Thank you for all you do for us. May God continue to bless you, and you too, Silsey Mart. I responded to Inez Danzinger's criticizing Marte for not supporting our bill. Oh, thanks. I missed that. Inez, Chris Marte is the sponsor of our bill. We are grateful for Chris because he's been one of your few strongest members that was supporting legislation. Him and Bob Holden were your two co-sponsors. So you cannot criticize Chris Marte. He's the one that fought everybody to protect you. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. I appreciate that. I totally missed that. Let's see. Michael Mulgrew is the president of UFT and is a representative of NYSET, or is that just another person with the same name? No, I think he is representative of NYSET. Maybe one of the UFT people can chime in on that because I don't really know. Let's see. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Laura, the educators of New York City just posted a damning deep dive on the UFT's welfare fund on Substack. I hope everybody reads that. You know, I have to say, let me see if I could find that, because that came up the other day and someone asked if they could post that on our page. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from, from doing that. It would definitely help. Whoops. Let's see if I can pull this up and drop the link in there for you. And that way you could see the article. Here we go. And what this was saying was that the fund is drying up. I'm going to drop this in the chat below. Thank you, Laura, for reminding me. The fund is about to dry up. Why New York State and the feds must audit the UFT welfare fund. And the educators of New York City actually posted what's been going on the healthcare fund. Remember, one of the things that the union said, largely the United Federation of Teachers, including DC 37, was that they had to push retirees into Medicare Advantage in order to fund the stabilization fund. And then the MLC union attorney admitted a couple months ago that it was the tripartite committee of the MLC's primary goal to end the stabilization fund. Well, if you were ending the stabilization fund, why were you selling off retiree healthcare to put money in it and create a cash cow? So much misinformation, but this has some criminal implications to it. And what the writer was actually asking is that people draw attention to the billions of dollars, over $1 billion in excess reserves. Well, you always need a reserve, right? But that this in comparison to the cost benefit analysis of the welfare fund for the teachers, that it was creating in excess that wasn't being spent on the members. And there was a previous audit that they talked about, was the Illinois teachers, that was audited by this federal committee. And they were requesting that this be done here in New York City's unions to claw back, I guess, expose some of what they believe was potential criminality. So please go and read that link. And if you follow along with it and want to support that, please go right ahead. They instruct you how to write an email or who to send the commentary to, because they should never have used the stabilization fund for teacher raises. They should never have misused it. It should have been made left to preserve healthcare benefits for active workers and retirees, for pre-Medicare retirees, and also not to have been misused by the unions and the MLC and the mayor. That it's not been, there's really no regulatory arm, and no matter how many times we've asked for an audit on this, it has not yet been done. There is an audit that's supposed to be coming from the comptroller's office on this fund, and yet it still has not appeared. And it's not from a lack of our asking either, because I think I've asked in the last 10 days like 5 times, where's the audit? I'm not yet seeing it, and I'm hoping that Brad Lander, before he moves on to his next agenda in life, his new chapter, he actually publishes the damn audit. So let's see. Thank you, Tommy. I'll go and check that video out after. Michael Mulgrew and Tom Murphy are part of the NICET directors. Thank you, Karen. That should answer eucalyptus. Individuals are being locked out of what they do. Individuals are being locked out of what they do for health insurance. I don't understand that. We need to propose New York City retirees' rights like patients' rights in hospitals. That's a good point. President Trump will be talking to insurance companies soon. Does that help retirees? No, Ivy, because the mayor, the president has largely been supporting the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. Project 2025 is Medicare Advantage. He has several people in his circle, like Dr. Oz, for example, or RFK, that like Medicare Advantage plans and are on a Medicare Advantage plan. So no, unfortunately, that's not going to help us. No, because they're okay with privatizing Medicare. They don't see a reason to protect Medicare or Medicare Advantage. Okay, so Laura, for some reason, remember a couple months ago, I did a post and I did a video and I said, you have to respect the fact that I, Marianne, have a life. Like I try to have a life. And that I have a life in my community in which I am also politically involved. Now, Your question is, can you please explain why there's a recall on someone named John Rydellback? Have you ever heard me talk about John Rydellback? You are literally on a Georgia political page, and you should not be. So I'm going to ask you, if you are on a page, and this was Facebook sending out emails, which it should not have done, and we could not stop, educating people like, hey, Marianne has this new page called Recall John Rydellback. John Rydellback is literally a commissioner in Georgia who has been trying to do all sorts of ugly things. And I have been fighting this man now for 5 years, mostly successfully, but some not. But you guys should not be on that page. And that is my Georgia life. And I need you to not be involved in that. And if you are, just want to watch, please don't post, because you can't commingle these issues. We are trying to fight to protect a rural area of where we live. And so that's really important. You as New Yorkers should not be on my page. Facebook started sending out messages to people saying, hey, Marianne's got a new page, you should join it. And we were like, why the hell is this happening? No, Camille, I never sleep. Sorry. So if you see me talking about someone you don't know, and you've never, or making a post about someone you don't know, you only hear me talk about the same freaking people over and over again. You hear me talk about Mulgrew and Garrido and Despoli and Speaker Adams and Mayor Adams and all of these other people, but you never heard me mention this name. And this guy is literally a Georgia pariah, not to be confused with any New York pariahs. Thank you, Laura. But yes, please, if Facebook is telling you to join some of my other pages, don't do it unless I say, hey, Laura, I'm doing this and come and join me. No. And maybe it did it that way. I honestly have no idea. But at the top of that page, it literally says, this page is to recall this commissioner from District 4 in Georgia. And if you're not District 4 in Georgia, please don't be on that page. Thank you for asking that question. Let's see. There was another question, and then I really do have to go. Underrepresented people are being locked out of work. What do they do for health insurance? Divorced women are getting back into the workforce, locked out of tenure. So, Eucalyptus, I'm not familiar with this issue. They're being locked out of work. I'm going to assume maybe you're not a New York City retiree and you're just catching this on YouTube, because I see you're from the YouTube world here. You're coming to me through my YouTube feed. But in New York City, if you take a New York City job, you are entitled to health care as an employee. And if you stay in New York City for so many years, depending upon what tier you're in or whether you're union, when you joined, you're either entitled to health care in your retirement if you were on the job, I think before 2012 for 5 years, after 10 years. And if you were UFT, they made their own deal for 15 years, you're entitled to health care. And with your pension, of course. So I'm not sure what you're referencing, because New York City workers have healthcare as part of their package. So they would have healthcare for them and their family based on a law, the statute, which I read in my statement a little while ago. The administrative code passed in 1967 literally states the city will pay the full cost of health coverage up to a specific benchmark known as the HIPPA HMO for every employee, retiree, and their dependent. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, locked out of tenure or people getting back into the workforce, not having access to healthcare. If you're a New York City employee retiree, you have healthcare. You too, Ellen. You have a great weekend. Same age women or younger are getting support. I'm still not getting where you're telling me this is from. How is it that the unions are giving unredacted prescription information to the MLC, not considered a HIPAA violation? And Michael, that's a really good question. They would probably own that information, being the sponsor of the plan. And I would say, though, that union members should definitely object to their data being shared. because it should not be. The committees in the MLC that will be reviewing the issues of prescription and medical under this new plan, there will be 2 committees. They're made up of union people. So other union leaders will be seeing that information unredacted. And it was made clear it's unredacted. So those 5 unions need to take point of that this is going to happen. Yes, Long Beach, I've followed you. John, that's awesome. Okay, guys. So I've got to go finish getting stuff ready, getting stuff filed today before 5 o'clock. I will see you guys. If anything pops up during the next couple of, during the next 2 weeks before we reopen, we'll be reopening on January 5th. The page will close as of today. I will see if I do leave a post open from time to time. And of course, I will be posting a few more videos, going back to the statements that I've made yesterday. Also, stay, get out of the house a little bit. Go do something. Go watch a movie, take some friends out, go to lunch, get out of the house, get off of your computer, because this is what I have to do. You keep seeing me like wipe my eyes. It's because I'm on my computer so much that my eyes keep tearing. So I am going to go finish what I have to do so I can get this stuff filed before the day is over. We are closing this page. I want to thank the moderators for everything that they've been doing. I want to thank the board for coming and dealing with all of these meetings and helping us do all this work to serve you guys as the members. I want to thank our attorneys for always being there and supporting what we're doing and listening to us and helping us fight this crazy ass battle. And thank all of you for working with our moderators, understanding that we all do need a little bit of a break, supporting this organization's funding and its missions and its fight, because that we truly believe in you and that everything that you earn should be protected and that you should not have to continuously have to fight for something you already earned. We want to make sure that people stop trying to steal from you and that they know that you have a voice. Okay. Yes, Seal, you can donate all weekend long. You can donate every day, every week, whatever. Just go right to our website, www.nycretirees.org. I will drop it again in the chat. But it is our website. The main page has options right under our logo we decorated with a little wreath, and it'll tell you exactly donate here, sign up for our emails, create an account. You can do everything right from our main page. So please, thank you for everything that you've done. Please enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holiday. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You will hear from me from time to time because I just got another big box in the mail full of cards from you, and I haven't done a card reading in quite some time and read your letters. I promise I will do that over the next week. And also, you will hear from me to schedule your interview with me to do a video on those who are having a hardship paying these copays, as well as I think Tommy calls them the Mulgrew tax. So enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thank you for everything. And I will see you in the next couple of days. Have a great weekend. Have a happy holiday. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life we know you can't pretend. The days pass by, baby set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone.